Hey, it's Mike here, and today the phenomenon of the ex-vegan exhale, as well as just a response to Maddie Lymburner, unfortunately no longer being vegan. A lot of people don't actually know who she was. I thought more people did, but she was a vegan for 7 years, had a vegan-related channel with mostly what I eat in a day videos of 500,000 subscribers, 200,000 more than I have. She also has a really popular fitness channel called MadFit with millions of subscribers. While the concept is more relevant to other vegans that quit, Maddie quitting sort of brought to the surface a abstract idea that I've been thinking about for a while that I'm calling the ex-vegan exhale. I'll talk more about that. We'll talk about Maddie's story. We'll even get into some research around the issues that she had, which were mostly hormonal, but also psychological, like anxiety and depression. So let's just get into it. So I will say Maddie Lymburner, when I met her briefly at a Veg Fest, was super duper nice. I'm pretty sure she's Canadian, so it all clicks together. I'm actually not Canadian. Some people think I am. And she has a channel that's been dormant for 8 months that was focused around vegan content with the occasional ethics in there, but mostly it was what I eat in a day videos, health-related stuff. So all the reasons she gives for quitting are health-related. She said she had really bad period pains that had her going to the ER, and then of course the anxiety and depression that I mentioned earlier. She then says by secretly experimenting with very small amounts of animal foods, eggs and fish, not sure which one came first in which timeline, she was able to feel better. It's unclear whether everything is better, but that's what she says.
I decided to include a very small amount of animal products in, test it, see how it goes, and the proof is in the pudding. I just feel overall a lot better.
I'm going to respond to all of that in a second, but to give a full response, I first want to introduce my new concept of the ex-vegan exhale, because to me, it's the only scientifically valid explanation for especially some of these other people who have quit being a vegan and just seen unexplainable, mysterious, verging on magical relief of their symptoms or health issues when they stop being vegan. And I don't mean to gaslight anybody here, because obviously if you're eating a nutritionally inadequate vegan diet, you can have health issues that once you get those nutrients again, regardless of the source, whether it's from other vegan food or from eating non-vegan food, then you'll be able to relieve those symptoms. I'm not saying it's all in everybody's head. But when the results are so dramatic, for example, Tim Sheaf saying he has a super low sex drive on a vegan diet, which by the way, he also was starving himself for 30 days at a time and drinking pee. Let's forget about that for a second. But after eating fish, after not having it for years, he all of a sudden, earmuffs for children, has a wet dream. Yet in terms of biology and science, it takes about 60 days to produce sperm or whatever. So you gotta get what I'm saying. Or how Elise Parker, AKA Raw Alignment, who has had these abstract mold brain fog symptoms, all of a sudden, after eating fish and eggs, immediately overnight sees a complete reversal of symptoms. So in situations where it's biochemically impossible to raise the nutrient status that fast, or just the total nutrient load of these animal products would not be big enough to make a difference, it's clear that there's something else going on here, perhaps an element of suggestibility, or just this big exhale of stress or tension that people have been holding by going against the grain of society for years. Unfortunately, we live in a society where your friends, your family, sometimes your partner, your coworkers, random acquaintances, anybody on the street has a little bit of a pushback against a vegan diet, a constant pressure against you. In addition to people holding stress around the idea of restricting any food group or any type of food, when somebody quits a vegan diet after a long period of time with all this tension buildup and all this resistance, I can imagine they probably just have a big, I can relax now, whether it's ethically, they've convinced themselves that they no longer need to be accountable, that they no longer need to stress about restricting a certain food group, or that they simply can just say, I'm one of you again, everybody I know. The best analogy here, and it's been used in the vegan context so much, but it's so specific here, is the Matrix and the red and blue pill. Remember, Morpheus offers Neo 2 pills. The blue pill, he can just get plugged back into the Matrix and not worry about reality. In fact, forget reality if he wants to, or he can take the red pill, wake up, get out of the Matrix, and then fight that whole system. But this is where it really does connect, and that is where the character Cypher, who's a bit of a bad guy, then decides to take up Agent Smith's offer to be reconnected into the Matrix, essentially taking the blue pill, and of course he loves it and gets all these things. And I'm not trying to make all ex-vegans out as villains and make everything super black and white here. I'm just saying that the role of Cypher is very analogous to the role of ex-vegans who are then going back into that. It's this big relaxation, and I believe that that relaxation coupled with suggestibility creates that big ex-vegan exhale where they can then relieve their symptoms, and we'll talk more about the research behind that, and then they can hook back into the paradigm of carnism where they can relieve themselves of accountability to what's happening to animals. It happens to different degrees, different people, but let's just say we've seen that bacon mukbang one too many times. Now, eating one of the most intelligent creatures on earth doesn't fit under their ethics, even in their current paradigm. And however, not to get on the high horse, but I feel as if I am ethically bound to continue going against the grain, even if it creates some extra difficulty. And I would say that that difficulty isn't even that much more, and if anything for me, it is a fuel to get things done. Finally, I would add that the ex-vegan exhale appears to just be a temporary phenomenon, much like placebo in cases. As you take more and more placebos, the power becomes less and less each time. And so people like Elise Parker or Vegetable Police continue to search for that diet that doesn't give them any health issues, makes them feel perfect. And in some cases, it appears the symptoms return to the people who are ex-vegan, but this time they're not on a vegan diet, so it couldn't be caused by their diet. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. And you might be thinking, are people's thoughts really that powerful, Mike? It feels like you're just giving an excuse for how vegans are actually unhealthy. Well, let's just look at the power of suggestibility through placebo really quick here. You probably already know that literally different colored pills have different effects. Red is stimulating, green or blue can be more calming, but it gets even crazier when you look at studies like those on Parkinson's where people think they're getting injected with stem cells and see a higher degree of improvement than other people. Or this study that found that 4 placebo pills were more effective than 2 placebo pills. Or get this, that real knee surgery was equally as effective as fake knee surgery in treating knee tears. A sham surgery that literally didn't do anything. And then we have the other side of the placebo coin, nocebo, which is probably taking effect in these situations, and that is the belief that if something is going to harm you through suggestibility, that it can lead to negative physical effects. You know, in the example of a vegan diet, it could be your family constantly hitting on the point that a vegan diet is harmful, leading to some potentially negative physical effects that are not actually caused by the vegan diet. John Venus comes to mind here, having that constant family pressure of his in-laws who were hunters, which I think certainly played a role. So these concepts are super interesting and incredibly powerful, but let's just get back to Maddie's case really quickly. And the first thing about Maddie's case is that we don't have everything, but it appears that she went to a naturopath.
You guys know I've struggled a lot with my hormones. I've struggled a lot with very, very bad period pain. It's been something that I've been struggling with pretty much ever since I'd gone vegan, came off the birth control pill. I did go and see a naturopath, did a hormone paneling test.
And it's not clear whether or not she went to a official medical doctor at any point. She had these hormone issues, so logically she should have seen an endocrinologist, which perhaps could have cleared them up.
Discovered that I have a genetic disposition where I don't make enough estrogen. It runs in my family. I've been on bioidentical hormones now for a while. It didn't really do much at all.
Her period pains were bad enough that she said she had to go to the ER at certain points, and it is unclear whether or not the previous birth control that she had played a role. We just don't know. Again, this is an N of 1. But in terms of people making general conclusions about a plant-based diet and period pain, it's just worth mentioning Dr. Neil Barnard's study, which found that putting people on a plant-based diet lowered their period pain and also lowered the duration of their PMS by about 30%. And for this next point, I just feel really uncomfortable commenting directly on people's bodies, but it's obviously relevant here. And it's part of her fitness success, and that is that she appears to have a really low body fat for a female, and there is a clear connection between low body fat and estrogen levels from this study. Women with very low body fat, as defined by less than 22%, had lower estrogen levels. Visual estimates of body fat for clinical comparison is a little bit subjective when you're only looking at abs, and one subjective assessment, no study here, just a trainer's opinion. Female abs tend to show at around 22% body fat or less. If we compare her very toned abs to some visual references of different body fats, to me it looks like she's in and around 15% body fat, or at least fluctuates around that level. So to me, there's no doubt that she qualified as the very low body fat group in that previous study with lower estrogen that I just mentioned. And we got to ask timing again. For me, if this is what's happening, I would say that it's because she really ramped up MadFit. It was blowing up. Congratulations to her for that. And she just clearly was doing videos a lot. I remember looking at that channel and being like, oh my God, Maddie has this amazing channel. And she's posting like every single day. And that's a lot of cardio, which means more calories burnt. Now, that could have tipped the scales and been why after 7 years of being vegan, roughly, she saw these hormone issues that were intense enough for her to make that lifestyle change.
I was struggling so much to the point where I was at my breaking point.
But I can't help but wonder if just including more calories in her diet, including more fat in her diet, or just exercising a bit less would have tipped the scales in the other direction. One estrogen thing that doesn't add up here is that painful periods are usually caused by excess estrogen, which leads to more buildup of the uterine wall, which means a more significant shedding, which can be more pain. But again, she had low estrogen. The usual concern with low estrogen is actually no period. So it brings me to another theory, which is about testosterone. She never said anything about her testosterone levels, but they can cause acne.
I was struggling with really bad anxiety, depression. My skin was horrible. This is me right now. No filter, no makeup.
And higher testosterone can also cause pain because of the same mechanism as PCOS, where it sort of puts your ovaries into overdrive. I have a whole video on PCOS. I don't think she had that because she had ultrasounds and didn't say there was anything abnormal. But it seems to me that there could be a vitamin D connection. And first of all, this study found that women given high dose of vitamin D had about a 25% lowering in their testosterone levels. But the point about timing here is that it appears that she was suffering most through the winter when the UV index is lower, and therefore the body's ability to create vitamin D is lower. I don't know if she was taking vitamin D. I don't know any of that, but it appears that she cleared up her issues to a significant degree at the same time as the weather was getting warmer and the sun was getting stronger and vitamin D production could go up. So were Maddie's benefits just from one big ex-vegan exhale of suggestibility? We will obviously never know. It's not as dramatic as Tim Sheaf's claim, but it is still a bit dramatic if you think about it. She's saying that she felt a lot better in terms of her period cramps, which were crippling her anxiety, her depression, and so on, by including a very small, quote, very small amount of animal products and having days where she was still fully vegan.
This is what really sealed the deal. I don't get like insane pain anymore. It's manageable.
I find it very hard to believe that these very small amounts of animal products were nutritionally significant enough to make the changes she's claiming. I mean, does an egg every once in a while cure anxiety? I don't know. I don't even know if she cured it. So in terms of her probably not eating enough nutrients to change major nutrient profiles in her diet, in addition to how there is no nutrient in these animal foods, fish or eggs, which is what she says she introduced, that she would not be able to get within the scope of a vegan diet. I've said it before and I'll say it again, there is no vitamin X in animal products, in fish or eggs. In this case, maybe you could call vitamin X the placebo pill that is known as the ex-vegan diet, the vitamin exhale. And if I had to make a specific case for Maddie potentially having a suggestibility-based positive health response to quitting a vegan diet, there's a few things going on. First of all, I mentioned that she was really nice. That's a good quality. I like that quality in people, but it's also associated with a more effective placebo response. And in terms of what health issues she had, placebo can lower depression severity from this study. It was so connected that you could actually determine how much lower it would be based off how much dopamine was released by that placebo. Dopamine that was from your own body. Literally the fake drug, the placebo that did absolutely nothing, made people make more dopamine and made them a bit happier. And from this study, in terms of PMS, a placebo was able to improve 84% of participants' PMS symptoms. And a really interesting note, that 84% then became less powerful every time they tried it again, which is what I'm talking about with these ex-vegans bouncing around from different diets. They get that benefit and then it's still not happening again. What's going on? And in terms of Maddie, we definitely know that within her environment and experience, she's had some suggestibility sources, potential sources, such as all of these girls saying that when they quit going a vegan, eating fish and eggs, particularly fish and eggs, they got magically better. We have Ravana, Elise, Parker, and Bonnie Rebecca all saying that exact same thing, and I'm sure she heard that. And this is where I don't understand, because somebody like Maddie has made literally ethical videos. So if you're an ethical vegan, please just think about the nutrients in those animal foods that you think are going to help you. And in terms of fish, maybe it's that DHA, that omega-3. So why would you not try regularly taking DHA first? Maybe she did, but she never said that she did. And if you want to be fully authentic in recreating that fish experience, go ahead and take the mercury too, because that can mess with your brain, and maybe that's what actually makes you feel better. I'm totally kidding, but I just had to make that joke. But one thing's for sure, if you know about placebo, it doesn't tend to work. So now anybody who's vegan, if they ever try to quit a vegan diet to feel healthier, they won't feel healthier, because you now know I've officially trapped you in veganism forever. Okay, now a point that I've left for the end because it's totally subjective, and that is the boyfriend accusation that people were making. They're saying, hey, you broke up with your vegan boyfriend that you were with for 7 years and vegan with for 7 years and started dating this meat eater guy right around the exact same time that you quit being vegan. She then responds and says, actually, I was hiding going vegan from my boyfriend, therefore I was not influenced by my boyfriend. First of all, just in terms of logic, if you're admitting that you were dishonest or at least not completely open with your partner who's one of the closer people in your life, that it's kind of hard for me to believe that you're being honest and open with us. Just saying. We're talking about 7 years of vegan, 84 months being vegan, breaking up with your boyfriend in what was it, like January or something like that, and then just a few months later you're dating this dude who's not vegan, and then you go not vegan. We already know that a major influence on people dropping a vegetarian or vegan diet is a meat-eating partner in their household. I've talked about the Faunalytics study several times, but to use the summary of this Fast Company write-up, quote, reasons for quitting varied, but perhaps intuitively, a lot comes down to relationships. A third of all former vegetarians lived with a non-vegetarian or non-vegan partner when they went back to eating meat. So maybe I'm wrong, but it seems likely to me that if she had stuck with her vegan ex-boyfriend, that it would be a lot less likely for her to have quit. You can make your own conclusions there because it's all anybody's guess. So when tying this all together, it's important to learn from other people. And here, if I had to point out mistakes to critique what happened, which sounds ridiculous, first and foremost, it seems to be a pattern that these people go to naturopaths and really follow the advice of naturopaths. I believe Bonnie's naturopath told her to eat fish and eggs. And so going to an endocrinologist if you have hormone issues seems like something that you should try. Again, we don't have all the information, so maybe she did, but she didn't say she did. Furthermore, there are reasonable physical cases that have absolutely nothing to do with whether or not she's vegan in terms of vitamin D levels. Obviously, you can take a vegan vitamin D supplement. And then her exceptionally low body fat for a female, which could have contributed to a hormone imbalance. Also, the intense exercise that could have also contributed to that whole equation. So there's no credible indication here that it was a vegan-specific issue, that vegans should be afraid of having. Again, that Barnard study shows that a more plant-based diet is associated with less PMS issues. Finally, whether or not this ex-vegan exhale concept that I've come up with played a role with Maddie or not, I think it definitely has with other people in the past, and it could have with her. So if you think that is an interesting concept, if you have any points in favor or against that theory, feel free to let me know down below. Just let me know down below what you thought about all of this. I don't think anybody should be mean to Maddie. She has her own experience, whether or not she did what you would do or did what was right or not what was right. It's not going to help to be mean to her. It's going to lead to a backfire effect and make vegans look horrible. And my final point would be, so many people continue to go vegan. So many amazing people are still vegan. Billie Eilish is vegan. Oh God, I don't want to curse it. Point is, I don't think this should be discouraging at all. And I think that everybody who wants to should like and subscribe. All right, see you next time. Thanks for watching.